Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy vicslanghope, and I got another video for y'all. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about why black people are converting to Islam in prison. And I'm going to give y'all a few reasons. First, I'm going to give y'all the educated one, and then I'm going to give y'all the hood, ghetto, ratchet, whatever we want to call it. So, boom. First and foremost, I would say this, right? When a lot of black people were introduced to Islam, it was kind of like something new to them, right? It was something different than what they've been taught. A lot of the people that convert to Islam in prison, they usually came from the church or a family of the church. And we know how black people in America got hooked on Christianity, right? Most of the time it was through force. It was being shoved down their throats, right? And it was a religion that kept them docile. And they changed the Bible here in America to kind of like make the Negro submissive, right? That's why there was things in the Bible, in the New Testament specifically, that said, obey your earthly masters. It was things that said, like, if you get harmed, then give your enemy the other cheek, right? So it made them defenseless against their oppressors, right? Even though they was telling them to do these things, right? The oppressor was hanging them, killing them, raping them, doing all type of things, right? Even though they believed in the same religion. So that left, and some black folks, that left a distaste in their mouth. But that was just the only thing they was kind of like exposed to. Even though some of the slaves that came here from Africa were already Muslim, right? But, of course, they got stripped down of a lot of the things that they came here with. So anyway, you fast forward, here is a religion that is allowing you to fight, right? Because in the religion of Islam, it allows you to fight against your oppressors. It allows you to protect yourself. It allows you to defend yourself from the people who are doing these things to you. So that kind of like offered a little something that, probably something that black people probably wanted to do for a long time, right? To be able to fight and get out their frustrations towards the black people. And then when Elijah Muhammad came with his message, that was, he twisted Islam a little bit. And he started telling people that this was the God of the black people. And he started telling them certain things, right? To kind of like raise their sense of identity. And that's really what Islam did. Islam kind of like created an identity for black folks that kind of like helped them, right? Like, which is also some of the things that the Hebrew Israelites do, right? They take they're like a faction of Christianity that is trying to build up the morale of black people in America, right? They're trying to tell them, oh, we're the original Hebrew Israelites and so forth and this and that and etc. What does that do? That builds up the morality. Well, that's what they're trying to do. Build up the morality and the identity of black people, which is the thing that Islam kind of did when Elijah Muhammad kind of like wishy-washed it and said this is the God of the black people and the black people this and the black people that, and people came in droves into it. So, yeah, and I'll read you a passage, right? For example, it says, then fight in the cause of Allah. You are not tasked except for yourself, and incite the believers to fight. It may be that Allah will restrain the evil might of the disbelievers, and Allah is stronger in might and stronger in punishing. So this is just one of the verses of when Allah is telling the believers to fight, right? So in another verse it says, and what is wrong with you that you fight not in the cause of Allah for those who are weak, ill-treated, and oppressed amongst men, women, and children, whose cry is, our Lord, rescue us from this town whose people are oppressors, and raise for us from amongst you one who will protect, and raise one for us from amongst you one who will help. So there's a lot of verses in the Quran that tells the Muslims to fight, right? Especially to defend themselves and to fight against their oppressors. So this is the educational version of some of the reasons why people became Muslim, because it kind of like gave them an identity, and it also allowed them to fight against their oppressors and the people that was violating them. Now, the ghetto hood ratchet classic, right, is, yes, there's a lot of perks to being Muslim. So, for example, when you go to prison and you become Muslim, the Muslims, if you get a Muslim ID, you get certain type of food. So some people wanted to get the good food. You get halal food, right? So for example, you might get some halal chicken, you get halal beef patties, you get, they got a different menu for people who say they are Muslim. Almost the Jewish people too, right? They get kosher meals. They get, specific meals. So some people did it for that reason. And again, this is years later on after people been going to jail a few times and they get the game. Another thing that they do is people try to they use Islam also as, trying to get into some type of protection, right? And I don't want y'all to get this twisted, because a lot of people say this, they throw this around like, oh, you did it for protection, right? But, excuse me, people fail to realize that the brothers who are really protecting is people who came from the streets, right? These are the brothers who, so when you say protection, you did it for protection. Like, Islam is not a thing where you just come in there and you don't got to fight. Everybody has to fight. I'm not saying everybody is going to fight or everybody is built like that, but in Islam, right, there's rules where you can't turn your back on the enemy, right? Where you can't flee, because that's, you know what that means. So this is probably why a lot of people viewed Islam as a gang, because they think it's operating under the standpoint of a gang, but in reality, Allah tells us in the Quran, right, to aid one another, to look out for each other, right, to be brothers, to become a brotherhood. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us to aid each other, to look out for each other, to not let nobody violate your brother's blood, honor, and property, right? So these are codes of conduct from the Quran and the Sunnah that tell the brothers to hold each other down. It's not nothing that was adapted from like some gang or from some street code, or no, this is actually things that are in the text. So when these brothers, some brothers that go to prison, they ain't got nothing left but to believe in God, right? Some brothers are doing 40 years, 50 to life. Some brothers got a whole bunch of time. And when you facing calamities and you're dealing with certain things, the only thing you have sometimes is God. So some of these brothers in there, all they have is God. All they have is their belief in God, that they might seek salvation through that, right? Because they're not getting a chance to come back home. And sometimes through the power of God, you get a second chance to come home after them lengthy sentences. So some of these brothers in there, don't get it twisted, man. Some of these brothers in there are vicious. They just choose to be peaceful, you know. And some of the brothers that come into the fold, yeah, some brothers do maybe use it. Maybe they are scared, maybe. But if they coming into the fold thinking that, oh, I'm going to be good, I'm not going to have to fight, they got another thing coming, because you got to fight. Everybody got to fight. When it goes down, it goes down. And now, if you elderly and you old and you sick or whatever the case might be, then that's an exclusion for you. But for the most part, all the brothers got to fight. So a lot of people be thinking this like, you turn for protection, and some people do. Maybe they don't know that you gotta fight. Maybe they under the wrong pretext. But I guarantee you, when them dudes get in and they really figure it out, they fall in line, because you gotta put in work. So I don't know where the misconceptions is coming from, because Muslims always have to fight. If you look at a lot of Islamic history, a lot of times Muslims were outnumbered when they were fighting against Christians, Persians, a whole bunch of whoever their enemies were. They still had to fight. So a lot of people be getting it twisted, but you still got to fight. It don't matter if your numbers are small, or large, or whatever. When there's a situation, you got to get it in. Yeah, it's the religion of peace, but how you think peace is achieved? Peace is achieved through war. You can't be in peace. You can't be peaceful if people are trying to bang on you. You can't be peaceful if people trying to do things to you. You can't be peaceful if they trying to wild out. And in prison, there's been a lot of instances where wars have broken out between Muslims and Bloods, or Muslims and Kings, or Muslims in whatever organization that they have to go up against. And it's usually behind a brother in certain situations that, you know, sometimes brothers be doing things that they're not supposed to, or they be getting themselves, or they had a past that the gang leaders are not willing to let go. So in some situations it's that, in some situations it's about food and different perks and benefits and stuff like that. But I think overall, why a lot of this is a phenomenon in the black community, is because it offers a sense of identity. It offers a sense of protection, not in the sense of them being scared, but in the sense of them holding each other down, and being able to fight against their oppressors in a collective way, in a way that is prescribed by God. So it's almost like there's faith involved, right? This is not like no gang. Like in a gang, yeah, some people might have faith, most others don't. You get what I'm saying? One person is tough, two people is tough, 10 are soft, scared. It's a little different when your God is telling you to go fight. It's a little different when the person that you believe, not the person, but when the being that you believe in, the creator, right, is telling you that you have the right to go defend yourself, right? This is some of the things that Malcolm X said, right? He said, if the government can't protect you, then you should be able to protect yourself. So I think, and I think this was like the big difference between like Malcolm X ideology and Martin Luther King, right? Martin Luther King, not only was he trying to emulate Gandhi, but he also was a Christian. You know, and again, like I said, the New Testament definitely was used to make us submissive here in America and not fight and tuck our tail in. This is why when Nat Turner, and for example, like, by the way, if y'all didn't watch Birth of a Nation, which is the Nat Turner Revolution movie, you should watch that. In Birth of a Nation, Nat Turner went to the Old Testament to be able to lead his revolution, because the New Testament, he realized that the New Testament was making black people docile and soft, for quote unquote. So when he read the Old Testament, he read about eye for eye, tooth for a tooth, and legal retribution, right? And this was what led him to lead his rebellion. Not the New Testament, it was the Old Testament. Harriet Tubman, when she did the Underground Railroad, right? When she had help from white people, by the way, and some black folks that were free, right? When she had help, they was calling her Moses. Moses is a prophet that's mentioned in the Old Testament, right? What did Moses do? He freed his people. So a lot of times the Old Testament was used to kind of like lead some of these movements, because the New Testament was kind of like created and changed and altered to kind of like make black folks submissive. So let me know what y'all think about the video. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and let me know in the comment section how y'all feel. Peace.